Then I went into renting out hubbies, and that was stopped because of COVID.
And then if you, or rather your entrepreneurial journey had
Yeah.
a spirit animal, what would it be and why?
A tiger. Reason being is I wanted to say a lion, but
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel like a tiger is more powerful than a lion. Everyone thinks the lion is the king of the jungle, but lions are just mundane and just always just chilling and being lazy. But tigers are the ones that are hardworking, they have more fierce, they go after what they want, and I think it resembles me in that way.
Hi guys, welcome back to Waiting for All Things Beautiful, inspired by the meaning of my full name, Celinda Guhle. Today, I have my friend on the camera. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I think a lot of us need to hear, including myself, right? It is around unemployment. As we all know, in South Africa, we are facing a number of problems, and one of them is unemployment. I myself have been through unemployment so many times. It's actually hilarious. I'll talk about it. But before we go any further, let me introduce Makatu.
Hi, Slee.
Hi, Makatu.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. This is my friend. We met 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
We met at a business management course, and yeah, we became friends back then. And I've just seen this guy grow like angazi. I can't even put into words how you've grown. He is the Light Candles owner. I think you're one of the biggest candle distributors, or you heading there, top 5, or if not, we're manifesting it. You are one of the biggest, and I'm so proud of you, bruh.
Thank you.
I really think that you are the perfect person for this. We were just talking just now, actually behind the scenes, saying, Guti, Makatu actually didn't, you didn't jump into work. You decided that I'm not going to allow unemployment to get the best of me, and you got onto it, and now you're doing big things. Please introduce yourself, please.
Thanks once again for having me. As you said, my name is Makatu Chuboda. I'm a young man born and bred in Soweto, and I run a candle business, soon to be Africa's #1 candle business.
There you go.
Called the Light Candles. And yeah, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm really, really proud of you. The reason why I brought you here is because I really would like us, like I mentioned to you right now, is I really would like us to encourage both our peers, people who are much older, who are finding themselves in these situations, people who've graduated and they're still sitting with the PhD and so on and so forth, and the young ones, that please don't allow unemployment to define you. Don't allow it to also get the better of you. There's so much that you can do, and this man is the perfect example of what you can do with what you've got. Don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect moment. I'm going to always refer to the Bible, but there's a verse also in the Bible that says there's no perfect season, there's no perfect time, in Ecclesiastics, I think. So yeah, without further ado, I want to have an icebreaker. I mean, I'm nervous, but I want to have an icebreaker. Makatu.
Yeah.
Tell me now, if you could, I don't know, take me through how you would describe your, let's say like an anthem. What would be your anthem for like the worst day? An anthem or a song?
For the worst day?
For the worst day, yeah.
Sure. That's a good one. Let me think. It's hard for me because I don't listen to music that makes me feel worse if I'm already having a worse day. So I'm a positive guy. So
good.
I have good music to
Best
uplift
day
me.
then?
Best day
Anthem.
By my favorite artist was Java. It's called Ngiyabonga. It's a song about gratitude.
Yeah.
And he speaks about just going through the most and believing in God and
Yeah.
things happening for him and just being grateful. And that's the anthem for my life. I'm a walking gratitude person.
Yes.
I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
that would make me feel
100%.
yeah.
Well done. And then if you, or rather your entrepreneurial journey had a spirit animal, what would it be and why?
I would say probably a tiger. Reason being is I wanted to say a lion, but I personally feel like a tiger is more powerful than a lion. Everyone thinks the lion is the king of the jungle, but lions are just mundane and just always just chilling and being lazy. But tigers are the ones that are hardworking. They have more fears. They go after what they want, and I think it resembles me in that way. Yeah.
Okay. Last one is, what's the funniest or most absurd failed business idea you've ever had? I'm sure this isn't the first business idea.
It's crazy because I've never had a failed business idea. I've just had businesses that I stopped operating. I mean, one of the first businesses I had was in varsity. What I would do, I would be the middleman in terms of buying when new people go into races and they're looking for fridges and stuff. So I would go outsource the fridges and then sell to them. And then obviously that just stopped. Then I went into renting out hubbies and that was stopped because of COVID. So I would say maybe that. Yeah, the renting out hubbies in chill spots.
Bro, you've always been a business person, eh?
Yes.
I feel like you're like, yes, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur. Well done. Well done. All right. Let's get right onto it now. So I want you to please share a bit about your personal story, right? And how your faith has played a significant role, particularly in your time of unemployment, and then what led you towards entrepreneurship.
So faith for me has always been my number one thing. I've always been a man of faith, and I think over the years it's just gotten more intense because I then started developing a more personal relationship with God. So how my story starts is I've always been Christian. I went to there was a Christian school, a high school, and my mom raised me in a Christian family type home. And yeah, I was born and bred in Soweto, went to varsity in the Eastern Cape. I studied psychology. So initially I wanted to become a psychologist because I've like always had an interest in how people's behaviors or what impacts people's behaviors and just also the need to help people, right? So when I then studied psychology, I graduated, and unfortunately, like millions of our peers, you don't get a job. So I think that was the first time I impacted or rather experienced unemployment. So when I was done with the degree, came back home and I was unemployed for about 6 months. And that's when I actually just started. I told myself that, listen, I'm not going to get a job just applying online and just, So I then just decided to put my degree to the side and find any job I could find because I also believe that an idle mind is the devil's playground. So the more you don't do anything, the more likely you have to do something that's strong or that will impact your purpose negatively. So I then volunteered at a candle making company. So initially, I've always had this thing of when you want to be at a certain space, offer yourself for free and then show them your value and then they'll take you in. So that's the perception or rather the technique I had. I went there, I volunteered myself, and I learned how to make candles. I fell in love with the passion of making candles. And I think that's where my purpose got more enlightened with regards to what I feel my purpose is, which is like to provide healing and to restore hope. Hence, I studied psychology. So when I then realized that I could do that through candles, I then left that business, I think after 4 months, and I decided to start my own. And it was tough. I think I had to hold on to faith quite a lot. I do this thing where those around me know I always say hold God to his promises. So I always hold God to Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper, not to harm you. And God is not a man that he should lie. So if he says he's got a plan for you and a plan to prosper, you hold him to that, and your steps are then just guided through that. And look, at the time I was 22, and when you start a business at 22, you have no idea what's happening in the world. You don't know where to start. I don't have a business background per se. Yes, I've sold things, but it's not
Mm.
business acumen,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
So yeah, my faith then just intensified, and I started the business. I don't know. I can't tell you how I started it. I
Yeah.
think it was just through grace and
Yes,
His
yes.
favor, because things were tough, but things were aligned.
Mm, mm.
Even with small things such as getting funding or
Yeah.
customers, and yeah,
I could tell you what it was. It's you
yeah,
holding God to his promise.
100%.
One thing about God's word, it doesn't come back. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
go back to him null and void.
yeah,
He always fulfills his promise. So well done to that. And I love that God wants to show off and show out,
yeah.
especially when you trust and have faith in him. So yeah, that is basically it. And I'm really, really proud of you once again.
Thank you.
Okay. And then looking back, right, what was the most significant turning point for you when you decided to pursue entrepreneurship instead of waiting for a traditional employment?
Yeah. I think it was the purpose. My purpose got ignited, and mind the pun, but it got ignited
Yeah.
when I was in that business, whereby I realized that I could fulfill my purpose through candles, because
Mm,
the market that I then looked into was the spiritual and religious market, because those people use candles to pray, to patla, to
mm,
connect with whatever it is that they believe in, and I'm just the vessel to help them get to that. And yeah, my purpose being ignited, that was the turning point for me. And I think maybe the second thing was being kokasi. You realize that there isn't a lot of job opportunities. Like, the people I left 10 years ago, kokasi, are still there right
yeah.
now. And
Mm,
it could be a debate about maybe they want to, but it's at the same time, it's like there are no jobs, bruh. Like, there really aren't enough jobs, and every year thousands of people graduate with the same degree, and how many jobs are available for that particular
mm,
field.
mm, mm,
So those are the two things that impacted my journey into
mm,
getting into entrepreneurship rather
mm.
than
And a
going the nine to
traditional.
five. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I think I'd like to challenge your statement in saying that there are no jobs. There are. You just need to get up and like do something.
True.
There's always something. I was reading a quote. It's no matter how the industry is saturated,
Yeah.
if there's room for you, if you're called for it,
Nah,
your audience will come for you.
100%.
So I just feel like please don't sit and
Yeah.
wait for it to come in your lap. I like what you said in the beginning. Oguti, you didn't just sit and say, hey, it's going to come. And
Yeah.
traditional application, you applying and hoping and praying, it's not going to get you far.
Yeah.
Go out there. So yeah, I
I
just want
like
to
that.
conclude with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from your perspective, right, how does a spiritual foundation provide a unique kind of resilience or guidance that conventional business strategies might not? How do you pay the two to succeed?
I think for me, look, businesses don't go wrong, they start wrong.
Mm,
So
okay.
foundation is quite important. And when you link it with spirituality, so
Mm,
I look at it this way, né? We are made in the image of God,
yeah.
and God is a creator, which makes us co-creators.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel like business people are a special type of people, because you create something from nothing.
Mm,
And especially when it hits off in terms of getting customers, and you start seeing the value that you give to people. So I'm losing my train of thought, but I link the two in terms of, like, I go back to scripture. When you look at Proverbs like 16 verse 3, it says,
mm-hmm.
commit your ways to the Lord and he
Mm-hmm.
will bless your plans. So in everything that you do, and I also think, like, business is spiritual,
Yeah.
it's a transfer of energy,
Mm,
and
that's true.
you always have to be at a high level of frequency to operate a business, because when you're depressed, your business 6 months down the line will
Mm,
also go through a
funny
depression.
enough. Mm.
So you always have to be rooted in something which is spiritual, whatever it is for you. For me, it's God,
Mm.
and it's through God's grace and favor that you can grow a business. Because when you think about it, when I started my business, I was 22 years of age. How many 22-year-olds do you know who are starting businesses? I mean,
Mm, mm,
the
mm,
typical 22-year-old is
mm.
thinking about, I don't know,
That's true.
whatever they're thinking about,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So you have to have a firm foundation in God in order to build a business. And the strategies will follow, I guess, the business strategies. And it's all about faith also, because when you start a business, you have a vision or hope for something that your business can grow to become. And that in itself is the true essence of faith, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, right? And evidence of things not seen. So you put the faith first, and then the strategies will follow. God will then give you the strategies on how to build your business. That's how I look at it.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think another thing for me that I've seen a lot of successful, spiritual CEOs or owners are saying is somehow you also need to have the passion for it. It's so easy to do something and to fail. Mara uyayithanda le nto oyenzayo. You know, I think for me, what I'm doing right now, I have a passion for it. Irregardless of whether people watch it like the 6 views, 10 views, I don't mind. I'm just going to put it out there because ngiyayithanda, but someone else could try it and just like, bro, I only got 6 views. You know, they don't have the patience. You need to love what you do. I think also, did you love like creating candles before I get there? Or did you like fall in love with it along the way?
I think I fell in love with it. So I wanted to add on to you say passion, and I link it to purpose. So you've got to have either passion or the purpose. So sometimes you can have two. So I was driven by the purpose. And the passion followed after. And maybe with you, it could be passion. And then you realize along the way that, oh, this was your purpose. So I always think the two are linked, because you can have passion for something, but it's never really sustainable up until you realize that it's your purpose.
Oh, wow.
That's just how I think.
Okay, that's a cool perspective. Okay, I agree with you. Okay, thank you. All right, I have like 2-3 more questions for you. All right. Many aspiring entrepreneurs, right, they feel paralyzed right now by the need to be perfect. It's actually very interlinked to what I just said. Perfect to resources or timing. What practical advice would you give someone who has very little, but a strong desire and passion to start?
Literally, the last word.
Start.
Just to start, you know. For me, I think when I started my business, I literally started I had 2,000 Rand saved, and I started with that. And the machine I have now is worth over 200,000.
Sure.
So had I waited till I only got the machine, I wouldn't have started, because there's this thing where I see it a lot in business where funding finds you along the way. You just need to start with what you have. And sometimes we oversimplify it, not oversimplify it, we overthink it, want it to be perfect. I mean, for instance, also with my business, I only got a website this year, and I've been running my business for 4 years. And there's other entrepreneurs out there who will never start their business because they want to get their website. And I think everything else will follow. You just need to make sure it exists, and then you can make it better at another point.
I think also one other thing to add on is I like that you said some people are still waiting just for the website. Find what's more important. I think the most important thing is to find what your target audience is. Find what you're solving for. I heard this other lady who also started very young entrepreneurship, and she just said, you know, so many of us are only starting because we want to make money. You are going to lose so much before you make the profits, before you make that break. So try and find a solution to the consumer's problem. I think start there and start with what you have. I actually started my podcast in my bedroom with my iPhone. I think my iPhone 11. And it was so whack, guys. I actually went and I deleted everything. But I ended up having like reviews, and I had people who are like, I want to, hear more. Just start with what you have.
And now look at you, studios and everything.
Studio vibes, by the grace of God, you know? But just start. Just start. Okay. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in social media matrix, right? And the need for external approval is on a spike now more than ever. We just do everything just to have external validation. So how do you maintain focus and confidence in your business without relying on validation from others?
That's a good one. I think for me, it's about the value. If one customer can just buy from me every day, I'm happy. And it's gotten to that point where I've got a customer every day. There's never been a day where there's no customer. And for me, the social media, the likes and the views, they never translate to sales, bruh. Like someone could be having 100,000 views on on their TikTok or whatever, but
12
they're struggling
guys.
to, So for me, I never focus on that. I focus on the customers and getting my product into the customers' hands. Whether 10 people viewed my videos or 100 people, I don't delve much into that because it never translates into sales. What do you think?
Sure, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. You're speaking like a proper businessman right
Yeah.
now. No, you're right. I think everything needs to be, like I said to you earlier on, focus. What is your main focus? What is putting in money? Is it the views or is it the people coming in and out? Have you built enough rapport to have the in and outs? Like what you said, you don't have a day where you don't have customers. Don't worry about what's happening on social media. Social media is but an advertising space. It's not a place where it defines how successful your business is. Please don't even think that. I used to work for a company. They did so well, actually. I started with them. They had like 5 stores. I ended up leaving in the next 2.5 years. They had like no, not 12. They had 5 stores, and then they ended up having 12 when I left. But their social media was sure. You would swear these people are not doing anything, but I'm telling you, those people were making money. So I think, just to wrap up that question, social media it's a lie.
Smoking mirrors.
It's 100%. Okay, last question, Makatu. So just a concluding thought. Is there any other aspect of intersection between entrepreneurship and your faith that you feel is crucial for people to understand? I can start. I can answer that question. I really feel like everything, you get stronger when you put God first, guys. I've tried to do it alone. I've tried to do this and everything else alone. It doesn't even have to be business, just putting business aside. I just feel like God said in his word that his yoke is light. Even when you're going through the depths or the dips, as long as you've got God, like what you said, he is very true to his promise. He will help you. I can't really explain it. I wish I could put it into words how amandla kaNkulunkulu just fall onto me, especially when I'm going through so much. So I think it's really important to put your Heavenly Father first and give him a chance. I was speaking to my sister the other day, and she was just saying she's 19, so she's still growing, but she was just saying, I'm having a hard time with having a relationship with God. And I told her, you are gonna experience God for yourself. Don't let us define what God is. Once you experience him, there's no looking back. So just to conclude that, for me, I think the intersection between that is, I believe you're stronger when you're with God, regardless. It be relationship, it be parenthood, whatever it is, you're stronger with God.
100%. I think well said, man. It's definitely that also for me with regards to having a firm foundation in him. And as I said, when I started my business, I was 22 years of age. And look, a 22-year-old knows nothing about starting a business, and to bring it to where it is right now, it could only be God. 100%. And that's why I always go back to Proverbs 16 verse 3, which says, commit your ways to the Lord and he will make sure they prosper. And I think it's also through faith. I think another thing that people don't realize about faith is that it requires you to work as well. It's not just believing or hoping for something and then just waiting. It's I'll reference a passage in the Bible about the lady with the issue of the blood who had years of pain with regards to a blood issue, and she saw Jesus and she told herself, if only I were to touch that man's robe, I will be made whole. And even Jesus said it is her faith that healed her. It's not the touching of the robe. So faith also requires you to actually go out there and work for what you want. I mean, because faith without works is dead, right? So when you intersect business and navigating business, for me, it's through faith. Having faith in Jesus and believing that he will bring into fruition what you are hoping for and what you want to do with whatever it is, whether it's business or through employment, whatever avenue.
And just to add on to your story that you mentioned, the lady had every right to sit and say, no, Jesus knows my condition. Let him come to me. But instead, she stood up, even with her issue, and walked through the crowd and said, I'm going to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. And I was made whole instantly. So just to refer it back, or to bring it back to our topic, sitting is not going to help you.
It's not.
You have every right. I feel like all of us had every right to give up, had every right to feel like, listen, it's too much. She had every right. She genuinely had every right. However, she stood up and she said, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for what I need. Go for what you need. Don't just sit around and things going to fall on your lap. It is not, unfortunately. Okay, I think that is the end for me. The nerves just went away. Thank you so much for your time, Makatu. I really appreciate your story, and I'm really hoping for the best for you. Continue to pray. One day, you said you're going to be the top in Africa. Yes. I'm going to be reminding you, Guti, did you not say? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Tell your people to please follow, like, subscribe, listen, share.
Which camera do I look into?
That one.
Yeah. Please follow, like, subscribe. All Things Beautiful. Waiting for All Things Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow the Light Candles as well. Instagram, Light Candles ZA. Facebook, the Light Candles. And yeah, can't wait to see you on the next one.
Yes. I'm going to put your details. Don't worry.
All right.